Good morning, everybody. Well, markets are, it's down a little, kind of unchanged, big time off of the bottom here. Question is it meaningful at all? By that, I mean just technical bounces off of support or resistance or creating support or resistance. And until we see something meaningful at the end of the day, and what we see happening last week and even pre-market here, these are just technical bounces. And you can see here in the futures here as they actually broke down to new lows and sprung back up, which created a little bit of a downside shock and then a retest after it created the pivot, and then it bounced back up. And so we'll see if it holds on to this or what it's going to do here. It's applying bar by bar analysis and retracements to what happened last week. It's basically no big deal. And you can see the hourly here just trending down. It bounces back up into resistance. It basically puts us in the middle of nowhere as far as the open goes. And we just see if it holds on to the gain or not, as it's into this congestion here. Whether it just rolls back over here. It's starting to lose a little momentum, but you can see the 5-minute chart. As it rallied up here, and then the distance between the highs getting closer together. But, so far still an uptrend here. And we'll see, again, if it holds on to it or not. Spiders. And basically the same pattern, of course, but we look at this to see where prices are in relation to the prior week's closing price, or as we go on to the week, what happened yesterday as far as things moving up or down. Is it meaningful as to where prices ended? We see 431 and change here and 431. So actually a little bit of a loss, no big deal. Looking at it from this perspective of excluding the pre-market data, just opening up here, gap down, bearish price action at support. What makes it bearish? Well, the fact that it had a big green reversal bar and it made no headway. And same way as we look at bullish price action at an area of resistance, meaning it goes sideways. If we were to take this and bring it up here and it was going sideways there, and green red bars and attempts to go down and it can't, and we see if it actually breaks out. So the question is, does it break below here, as the markets open up here and trade for a little while and break lower? And if it does, there isn't much to stop it from going down. And then looking at, pre-market, just taking note of that. As for intraday traders, say 425, which was down here. That certainly could come into play if the markets move down to this level. Even though there's nothing here, we know that pre-market there was trading going on there. So we take note of it as intraday traders. If prices come down there, do they bounce off or not? And so again, assuming this goes down, and we could have a trading range here today. And it just brings me back to we're basically nowhere as far as swing trades go, other than, if you were short over the weekend based on Thursday's reversal, there's nothing to do other than to see if it continues to go down. And we've got this big green bar where prices are actually up above and holding. So, from that perspective, bullish, downtrend, bearish, and which way is it going to go? And so we'll see what, happens into market wise today, as far as, what financials are doing. They're at the bottom of the trading range. If you look at XLF, the regionals, we can just take a quick look here. It was pretty wild last week with this red bar reversing back up again and then back down again. So, the price action is pretty crazy here, with wide bars overlapping each other, which is technically, looking at the price action, a display of uncertainty. And of course, we know that just based on the news, Russia interest rates coming this week, supposedly. There's going to be a rate increase. So again, more uncertainty and probably more erratic price action. Just looking where XLF is. 37. Basically the same as the market's down a little bit, but at the bottom of the trading range here. All right, SPX. This is where it appears they're willing to give money away because of uncertainty. So downside, let me just double check from what I had written down before. I was thinking 40, 41, 40. So it's way down here. Is it going to come down there today? I don't think so. I mean, the door is open to going down there, but it's so far away that if it does, odds are it'll bounce. It's just too far to travel in one day to go down there and keep going. So I think that's highly unlikely. And of course, what's happening here is that these premiums on the downside are increasing, and the attraction here is to get closer. And close, how far closer? Well, I'd say below 4,200 should still be okay based on this pattern. And so, you know, the premiums increasing, it gets pretty juicy. So 41, let's say 41.90 is 85 cents by a dollar. Is it going to go down there today? I don't think so. But, you know, things get out of hand news-wise is certainly, you know, anything's in the realm of possibilities when we talk possibilities. But coming down here, I think that's certainly out of the realm of possibilities. Now, getting above this high today, which is 44.16, as prices have come up here. Wow. Yeah, you can go above 44.35 is 50 cents by 60 cents. So 44.35 is going to come up into this sell zone area. Now it's unchanged here to get above this high. What's going to drive the markets all the way up here? Meaning what bullish scenario would get it above this high? Well, ceasefire. I don't think that's happening. And anyway, looking at technical levels on the call side, you know, up around here, and even 44.40, 40 cents by 55 cents. You know, it's not likely to go there. And that's all we're doing with credit spreads, is where is it unlikely to go? And so more so to the downside because there's more premium, because there's more bets along that way. All right, Accuse futures, basically going to be the same story. You know, was lower, bounced back up. It's into resistance here. Well, just looking to the left, a little resistance up there. And so a nice move off of the low, technical bounce, retest of a pivot, bouncing back up into resistance. It's in a downtrend. Now we'll see if this begins to roll back over again. Looking at the ETF, 337, closed at 3375. So pretty much unchanged, same kind of situation as the spiders, where it was chopping back and forth. There was nothing to stop it from going down, but it created that pivot. The S&Ps held, and it was Friday, and you know, just nobody wanted to commit one way or the other. And we'll see if this breaks here or it gets back above, which ideally it breaks to the downside. Reason being, going down just going to create a buying opportunity. It's already down a lot from the high over here. So, I mean, my wish would be for it to come down here to this 320, 310, somewhere in here, break down in the area of this bottoming tail bar or a little lower, and then starting to base out. Rather than going back up here and just chopping around and plenty of overhead supply, just a move to the downside opens up higher odds trading opportunities than just chopping around in this mess. But we can't make the markets do what we want, but have a plan and we'll see how it unfolds. And the Dow, well, this was down here near pretty close to that low. And same technical pattern and bounce back up again into resistance. We've got similar patterns. We've been talking about this for a week or 2 weeks about similar patterns from intradays and the daily charts. And Russell, trading range slop going around, same thing, coming down, building support, moving back up. So this is getting above some resistance here. So this has been showing some relative strength, even in intraday, but it is up into this resistance. So, just keeping an eye on what those regional banks do, whether they intraday, whether they start to drop. If they do, and we see biotechs starting to drop, and you only know oil is way up. It's down off of the lows, but just keeping an eye on KBE, XBI, and XOP. Will give you some guidance as to what the Russell futures are doing if you trade them, or IWM. And 199, same story here. Well, obviously opening up a little bit higher, but just, into this little congestion there, pretty much the same story, a little bit of strength above this congestion. Just a mess. Not much more to say about that. Bitcoin down a bit, coming to the bottom of the trading range. Another example of looking to the left. Sellers up here, buyers up here, bouncing off of the low, little technical bounce, create us a pivot, retest. It's got room to move back up here. So it's got a void. We've got an unfilled gap over here. Look at whole numbers, which there's nothing there. But a little congestion area right there. Probably stalls it. Crude oil got way up there to 130 before it started to drop. And these oil stocks that are extended like this, they're likely to be under pressure. And other commodities that have gone up like this, with this reversal, getting a little too ahead of themselves and coming back in. Well, one of the copper stocks that I thought maybe would keep going here this week, we see that now down at $49. So that's gapping down here. So, metals, oil, I think I heard they said wheat was limit up again. Was it WHET? No, I forget. AT. Yeah. That ran up. Now it's, back down again. So these things just getting a little ahead of themselves. IWM for Friday? I don't know, McGraw. That's like way out there to think about that. What could happen? I don't know what the premiums are. Let's see, 190. TC isn't filling this in. They cleared the quotes here. I don't know where that is. I mean, technically, I don't know. I mean, it seems obvious up above here that it wouldn't get up above there. Well, straight as far as the downside goes, I just don't know. I don't know. A put to sell on Friday. Well, I would say down here, because technically you got pivot and a pivot. And if it came down there, it would probably bounce off of it, but I don't know if there's any premium down there. All right. And silver, backing off 185 or below. Yeah. If there's premium down there, 185, you sure? I mean, look, I wouldn't want to own it because there's nothing to stop it from going down. And you see this breakout that failed and it came back in, it tried to hold and broke down again. And, we've just got a trading range going on here. So, I guess for Friday, that would be okay. Even if it went down there. So we apply our trading concepts and analysis concepts. So it's at the top of the range. Why would I want to sell a put at 185 down here? Well, first I'd want to see if it start going down there because the premium would increase. But if it did go from here and break down through here, say continuously Friday, the concept of a greater than 100% retracement would be one that would guide us to that would probably be a point that it would bounce from, even though it broke the low. So I think it's an okay idea, but based on this, this bearish pattern of being at the top of the range, just waiting to see what happens if it breaks this area here on the 60-minute chart, it's probably going to be a much better point to do that. Yeah. Citibank, yeah, that's been going down a while. So sure. And you got XLF, is at the bottom of this trading range. And that's be one of the things that, we'll be watching to see if that actually holds or not. Would be a guide for the broader markets, if the financials just continue to sell off here. And, one of the favorites, Bank America, that already broke through the bottom of this area. So it's one of the reasons, saying, is this a technical, just technical bounces going on here and turns versus something meaningful? Have to look at what, the rally off of the low here pre-market is just nothing more than technical trading where, markets came down and created a support area, a little, not a textbook W bottom, but a little retest type of pattern, and it rallied off of that into resistance. Prices are just trading technically versus anything meaningful here because nothing meaningful is happening as far as, the Russia thing, oil. I don't know, oil backed off here, but just that's technical as well. It just moved a little too far, too fast. Gold parked up above 2,000. So again, a little too far, too fast, and backing off here. You see it's trending down. VIX, I got my alert up here. See if things sell off, whether it keeps going or it clears this. Just like we look at any stock, if there's a void, there's nothing to stop this from going up. And of course, we would see whether, at that point, the broader markets are heading down. And we're still watching this from a long-term perspective while things are uncertain here and bouncing back and forth, whether, this pattern actually follows through to the downside. Well, right now, prices are just flip-flopping back and forth. But we've got a relatively pretty ominous distribution pattern here on the weekly chart of the S&P 500. And while it poked underneath that, it came right back up again. So far, it's just down here. So, I think that's about it. Well, look, the euro, interesting here. So the dollar's been going up. And now that this might, I looked at this morning and wondering, is this might be a sign of maybe this market possibly being at a turning point? I don't mean so much the euro, but I mean, this is at a significant area of support. And this is, like a climactic move to the downside. And we've got the dollar, spiking up like that, and gold moved up and turning back down, and oil turning back down. So it'll be interesting to see where these technical moves actually unfold in the next day or two, whether this is ignored, whether gold pops, it ignores that and moves back up, whether this is like a topping tail being ignored, whether oil does that. So if they do, I think that's going to be pretty bearish. If we see gold not pulling back and oil not continuing to pull back and the dollar not continuing to pull back and all of those things, they occur that way. I think that ominous looking head and shoulders pattern might just actually break to the downside, but it's Monday. We'll see what things look like at the end of the day. And of course, as the week unfolds. All yours, Dan.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I surely was. I mean, when I woke up, the Dow was down 500, and I'm like, good. I want lower prices, and as Greg mentioned, then get the internals in alignment. Look at this. We've pretty much filled the gap now. IWM blew through. So yeah, it's going to be tough here. All our oil stocks from the weekend letter are most of them are gapping over. We had a couple REITs in there that were strong. They're gapping up here too, so we're not going to chase that. Land, COPT, that's a beautiful bottoming pattern right there. Put that in the window. That's a beauty. Wow, my trade station is wigging out on me here today. I'm gonna have to reboot this thing when I get time. Shoot, it's not even allowing me to type in a symbol. Annoying tech problems. All right, so our opens are fine. Let's go look at some gappers here. With TAN. TAN is an open ETF trader position of ours, and it's gapping up here. It was showing relative strength, gapping up even before the market recovery. So let's keep an eye on that. Fizzler had earnings last week. Gap. This was the ugly gap on Wednesday, and it stabilized. I remember saying that day, I don't know which way this thing's going to go when you get a gap, like an ugly gap right in the middle there. So now it's gapping up again. So on a pullback, yeah, Thomas, like I said. Oh, Hal also. Yeah, NOV was in our letter. Oh, that gapped up. Okay, so that'll now be hopefully a clean hit. But that's a big retracement. 80 cents on a $18 stock. Yeah, Jay, I know that's on my list here. It just totally blows my mind, the psychology of people. It was a hedge fund came out and said, oh, I have a 10% stake. Well, what do you do? And that's a reason for me to now pay, like you said, 100% higher prices than Friday's close? Did one iota of fundamentals change from that news? No, it's past tense. The hedge fund already accumulated the shares. Nothing, zero, nada has changed from Friday close. Yeah, the GameStop co-founder. One also, Chewy is the dude that co-founded Chewy. Jacopo asking about Jazz. Jazz is a bio. We technically call it 1, 2, 3, 4. The recent bar has to trade under it, but it's two bullish bars in the upper third, so it's a definite watch. And that's a bullish gap, wide range closing breakout. I saw in the journal today that wow, I didn't even look at it before. This is a Bluebird, is a bio. This used to be a high flyer. Look at that, $155. And the journal said they now have a going concern No problem. Running out of money. Mighty Mo. It's a gap reversal, gapping down to resistance. So I don't know. What is this little guy? WRBY. All right, so it's still in a nasty downtrend, but for a day trade, maybe it's gapping over all of this 15-minute resistance with a price void. SQSP. This could be a gap and snap. Things that are down far. This was it's far from the 20. Now you're gapping down $4 or $5. Let me put the SQSP. ADB. This had earnings, but I can't tell where it's gapping. Guild day trade short. That's an ugly collapse pre-market. The gap's kind of big, but Norbert might put it in a 5-minute window, maybe. You know, here's another just ridiculous thing, in my opinion. So Morgan Stanley comes out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight up bars, 22 to 32. And they come out and upgrade it today. And they upgrade it to $31. Well, guess what, Sherlock? It closed at $31.42. So what value is it's like these people get paid to do it's like I got nothing to do today. What can I do? I don't know. Let me upgrade X. It's so stupid. John Williams is asking about the Q stuff. Yeah, I already posted it in the Telegram. It's going to be 30-minute high. Well, actually, shoot, pre-market, I said tighter of this pivot. So this pivot is 337.80. And I did that on all 3 of these shorts, Qs, Microsoft, and SMH. Wow, I did not think they were going to recover this much, even pre-market. All right, so I'm going to now send a new alarm saying give at least, let's give it minimum 5-minute high. Minimum 5-minute high stops on open call spreads. I don't want to stop these things out. If they hit that little pivot. All right, Sierra Golf alarm. All right, Sierra Golf was a put spread trade. So that one still looks fine. And, you know, put spreads are a little different than directionals, obviously. So this one is only going to get filled on a pullback. So I'm going to say SG is good to go. You don't need to wait 5 minutes. All right, let's look at some of these other ones so I can start adjusting entries. Oh man, Greg, this was such a beautiful bottoming pattern. It's moving without us. All right, so that
They usually come back down.
yeah. So what I'm talking out loud is what alternative entry should I tell them?
I have no idea. I don't know until you see it.
Well, sometimes I say, you know, just buy the opening price. Sometimes I might say a retracement down to 950, you know, kind of make an intelligent I guess. All right, Q's holding very well here in the opening 5-minute bar. So there's that retarded X. I mean, this was your entry. Beautiful, beautiful gap reversal right there. SQSP. See, here's the one I said, gap and snap. Gap and snap right there, but that's moved too much. Wow, Greg, LMT up 10. Wow. All right, Nike, so the Nike 5-minute low is fine. These are ones that already triggered. So LPI, we got to hold off also. These oils, IMO, let's do a pullback. Gap fill IMO. LPI, hold on. IMO, buy into gap area. All right, so those are 3 now. Land,